Hello, Mihir. Good evening.
Hi, hello, good evening. Uh,
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Mihir Kulkarni. I'm currently studying in second year at Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics. And basically, I'm into sports. To be precise, I'm into open water sea swimming and trekking. I also love photography. I love to travel. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much about me.
Yeah, that's great. Pretty accomplished. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll start with the questions.
Okay, so
Sure.
I'll begin with the first question. So you
Mm-hmm.
started swimming since you were of 4 years of age, right? So what
Yep.
made you start and has kept you going for all these years?
So basically, where I lived earlier, the swimming pool was very close to my house. Like it was just 300 meters, and it hardly took 5 minutes by walk. And the place where come from, Roha, it's not a very big developed city. It's just a town. So there weren't many sports facilities available, and there wasn't much that I could do back then. And since swimming pool was very close and it was convenient, we got the swimming membership. And then since we took the membership, it became a routine to go in there. Earlier, it was just like going there for time pass to have fun. But then that changed into, having like proper practice sessions, then practice. mm the practice converted into the competitive practice, and then started participating in competitions and stuff. And that became a routine drill for 15 years. And the motivation from my sir, everybody all around there, the team spirit kept us going.
That's really nice how you sort of, got eased into the sport
Like, yeah, I
through start.
started to swim. I started swimming when I was 4 5 years old, back in 2006 and stuff. But yeah, earlier, as I said, it was just time pass, but then it got molded.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to start any sport. It's really nice. So
Mhm.
you mentioned right now that the guidance of your coach as well played a massive part in shaping you as a swimmer. How important was your
Mhm.
coach, Mr. Tavade, for your journey?
He was like one of the most important person in my journey. The reason I say one of the most important, because my mom and dad are at the topmost level of importance, and then just a step below them is my coach. And basically, he served in Indian Navy. And when he got retired, he was hired as a coach in a school swimming pool. And like he earlier in the first few stages of my swimming journey, it was just swimming, learning to swim, and then improving my techniques, improving my strokes, and the kicks, the glides, the flip turns and stuff. But then eventually, after spending time with him, after learning under him, after getting training under him, like it also inculcated values in us, be it sportsman spirit, team spirit. And like, even if we did not win any matches, win any tournaments, he used to motivate us to participate further. And he never let our morale be down. I remember a few instances wherein we used to go on a hill to practice to run. So basically, there was my swimming pool, then there was a river, and then behind that river, there was a hill. And he used to encourage us to go to that hill, and climb the hill, descend it, again climb it, again descend it, just to increase our stamina and endurance. So swimming to hota hi tha, lekin uske pehle we used to do this, and this was like for 8 to 10 times, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then when we used to get tired, he used to carry us on his back in the fireman lift kind of thing kind of way. And then he himself used to, do more 3-4 rounds extra. And like we were just 5, 7, 8 years old back then, and he was like 50, 51. And even then he used to carry us on his back and then run. And then we used to come back to the pool, have the PT, physical training, in which, we used to make a circle and then have the stretching and warm up exercises, and then go to the pool and then swim. One thing that I'll also like to mention that is that whenever the pool was, kind of closed or shut down for maintenance and cleaning and stuff, he used to take us to the river that I mentioned you earlier, and we used to practice in that river. So that we went to the river so that there was no gap in the practice. Like he found out a spot where the flow of the river was like kind of calm and slow, and the depth was pretty much so that we can swim. And then he used to take us to that river. We used to swim there. Of course, it wasn't as good as the pool, but at least we practiced swimming when the pool was closed. So he wasn't restricted to swimming pool coaching, or he wasn't restricted to the time कि तुम्हारा time 7 से 8 बजे है, उसके बीच में I'll teach you, उसके बाद what you do I don't care. He wasn't that kind of person. Like he took us to competitions, to various places. We also learned to how to go to places, how to interact with people, how to interact with other competitors at those places. And it was an overall inclusive experience. It wasn't only restricted to coaching. I remember before our competitions, he used to motivate us. Like before our swim, when the lineup is announced for the competitors to go on the starting blocks, he used to free our hands, like do like this, and then free our hands and then stretch us a bit. And he used to tap our shoulders and he used to say, "Pani mein aag laga dena." And like it was kind of motivating for us ki pani mein aag laga dena, try your best. And after the end of the competition, or like before going to any other location for a new competition or tournament, he used to say bas gold lana hai, गोल्ड के सिवा कुछ नहीं लाना, अगर सिल्वर ब्रॉन्ज होगा वो वहीं पे पानी पे फेंक देना है, और अगले साल आके गोल्ड ले जाना है वहां से. So that was one peculiar thing about him. Like only winning did not matter to him, but winning in the best position mattered to him. So yeah, I miss him these days because he also motivated us when we were down and stuff. Like we spent 15 years with him, so we are kind of trained under him. And since he was a Navy man, he had a certain way of doing all the things which have influenced us in some or the other way.
Sounds like a very wonderful person, your coach.
And
Like
like a
he was
coach
a
is not,
real fitness freak.
yeah. A coach is the one person who guides you in life also, right? It just doesn't remain restricted to sports. So he sounds like that guide that you have.
Yeah,
So
he is actually like a life guide. Mhm. Even now when I talk to him, so yeah, he got retired from the school swimming pool, and then he went to his hometown and he's settled up there now. But whenever I talk to him on the phone, the first question he asks me is, "Are you still exercising? Are you still gymming, or are you still swimming?" Like he's like, don't, even if you don't do it competitively, or even if you don't do it in like in order to compete or to participate in tournaments, just do it for yourself. It will help you in the long run and stuff. So yeah, like that kind of person.
I think when you said that you miss him, we all got what he means to you. So
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. We all miss certain mentors in our life, and for you, that was Mr. Tavre. So really nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Will we?
yeah. So open water swimming is a really unique sport to pick, right? Like you don't meet many people who do that. So
Mhm.
the transition from a pool to going out in the sea, like you said, must have been challenging. So how did you cope up with these challenges logistically and personally?
Okay, so it wasn't a direct shift from open water swimming to, from pool swimming to open water swimming. It was kind of gradual. I remember I participated for the first time in open water swimming competition in Ratnagiri. And back then I was in second standard. And according to that age bracket, I had to swim 2 kilometers. And my elder brother Nishant, he and I were in the same age group, and we had to, in the same group, and basically we had to cover the same distance. And I remember this incident where, so I'll tell you a bit about open water swimming. Uh, Basically, you sit in a boat from the beach, they take you in. Like if I was participating in 2 kilometers category, they'll take me 2 kilometers in the sea. If I was participating in 5 kilometers, they'll take me that behind from the shore. And then when the whistle blows, you basically jump out of the boat, swim, and come to the shore. So yeah, I was participating in 2 kilometers category, and it was my first open water swim. I had no idea how to swim in the sea. Like I had a few practice sessions before that in the sea, but participating in actual competition and practicing is different. And I and my brother were in the same boat. I was like afraid. I was scared because I did not know. I knew swimming, I could swim, but the difficult part for me was jumping from that boat into the sea. Like it was 7 meters high, and then jumping from that boat into the sea, and then starting swimming, and then reaching the shore. That was, intimidating for me. And the whistle blew, we jumped into water. I and my brother were together. He was, uh convincing me that it's easy and motivating me, and like he was behind me. And then as soon as we jumped into the water, he was like, okay, the competition has now started. I'll meet you at the shore. Just follow where everybody is going. You'll be there at the shore. And he left. He literally left. And I was like, भाई क्या, लाइक मुझे तो कुछ पता नहीं है कैसे आना है क्या करना है. लेकिन फिर I followed the other guys who were, elder than me and who had some experience. I followed them, and then finally I completed the competition. I reached the shore. Yeah, I did not get a rank. I wasn't among the top people to come, but I completed it, and that was my first experience in sea swimming. And then we used to participate in many sea swimming competitions, like at Ratnagiri, at Malvan, Tarkarli. So that was it. And then after certain time, it was like, ये तो ठीक है, लेकिन इससे भी आगे जाना है, इससे भी कुछ और करना है. So I shifted to open water, long distance open water swimming. Like I told earlier, or in the videos that you saw, the swim of 13 kilometers from Mora to Gateway, and the one from Dharamtar to Gateway covering a distance of 36 kilometers. So yeah, swimming in the pool and in the river, and in the sea, it's different, but it is, kind of unique in their own ways. In the swimming pool, the water is more harder to pull. So you need to make efforts to stay afloat. But in the sea, it is easier to swim, but there are other factors like wind, the waves, the tides, which makes it more difficult. As say, swimming is not difficult, but the conditions around there in the sea makes it difficult.
Seems
Yep.
like a very intimidating situation for a 2-year-old, for a person in second class.
Yeah,
That's a
like I
lot.
was I was freaked out. I was scared. I only thing I knew was to jump and
Hmm.
then swim and go to the shore. And how I did that, I had no idea how will I like मुझे कुछ पता नहीं था
7-year-old.
कि कैसे करने वाला हूँ क्या करना हो. I just knew the goal that I had to reach there. So
Yeah, it's
I did it though.
pretty impressive. So our next question is around the same thing. This
Mhm.
is about your 2018 swim. How did you
Mhm.
scope out your 36-kilometer swim from Dharamtar Jetty to the Gateway of India? What were some of the
Mhm.
hardest challenges that were thrown your way on the day of the swim?
Okay, that's a good question. So, yeah, so it was the timeline is basically like this. I learned to swim, then I start swimming competitively, then I start swimming in the like competitively in the pool, then I start swimming competitively in the sea, and then I do sea swim, open water sea swimming competition. So in 2015, I did a swimming open water sea swimming feat from Mora Jetty, which is in Uran. From there to the Gateway of India, covering a distance of 15 kilometers, I guess. And I did that in 3 hours and 30 minutes. And I did that along with my teammates. And I was the youngest one to do that. After completing that feat, it was like, ठीक है, ये तो हो गया लेकिन और भी कुछ करना है. Whenever you are in sports or whenever you are into any kind of non-academic stuff, you always feel like, doing more. Once you achieve one benchmark, when you are at the benchmark, you feel no, इससे भी आगे जाना है, इससे भी आगे जाना है, इससे भी आगे जाना है. So yeah, basically the 2018 swim from Dharamtar Jetty to Gateway of India was a next version of that previous swim. And this time it was about covering 36 kilometers in the sea at a stretch without any breaks. And yeah,
Mm,
the 36-kilometer swim was in a creek, and then half of it was in the sea. So basically, the 20 kilometers were in a creek, and then there was a confluence, there was a region where there
yeah.
was confluence of the sea and the creek, and then the Arabian Sea, and I had to cover 15, 18 kilometers somewhere in the sea. So the thing is, you can't swim in the opposite direction of tides. Basically, in order to swim in the sea, you need to, check the calendar. We call it tithi in Marathi. I don't know how that's called in English, but it's basically the position of the moon and the Panchami, Shashti, Saptami, whatever it is. So basically, they calculate the strokes, the number of strokes that you swim in a minute, and then multiply it by 60 because 60 minutes make an hour. And then according to the value that you get, they select a tithi, the day for your swim, uh, for the swim, and then according to that day they match the timings for the high tide and the low tide, and then you actually swim. So this is done pretty much 10-15 days before the actual date of your swim. So the logic is, whenever you start from the starting point in the creek, you should start in the low tide. So what happens in low tide is water pulls you in towards the stomach of the sea. So the logic is, when you start, you get pulled in towards the confluence of the sea and the creek, and then it should be in such a way, the timing should match in such a way that when you are in the stomach, when you are at the confluence of the creek and the sea, the tide should shift to high tide, the low tide should shift to high tide. And what happens is, in high tide is water pushes you outside. So basically, you are in the sea, and then the high tide sets in, and then water pushes you towards the shore, so that you don't have to swim against the flow of water. You just go with the flow, and that's much easier. If we try to swim against the current, it would be next to impossible. And that's the logic that we apply before deciding the timing. So my starting time for the swim was 2:23, I guess. Yeah, it was something around 2:30, like that, in the morning, and it was pitch dark. I could not see anything. I had to just swim, 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 swim. And then you also asked about a challenge that I faced during the swim. One real challenge was when I was at the confluence. It was around 6:30 in the morning. And since it was February, it was cold and there was fog all around, and we could not see anything. I could not see anything. Okay, I cannot see when I'm swimming. Anyways, I can't see anything. But along with me, there are three boats. The first one is pilot boat, which navigates the direction in the sea. The second boat is always with me, besides me, and I swim around keeping a distance of 10-15 meters with that boat. And then there's a third boat to coordinate between these two boats. And if in case there's some emergency and somebody needs to go to the shore or something, the third boat is just for the logistical purposes, like that. So even the pilot boat, even the navigating boat could not see the location, could not find the way. And it was so difficult because this was one thing. It was completely foggy and we could not see anything. And at the confluence there was a whirlpool, and swimming in that whirlpool was literally difficult because I'd been swimming for since the start. It was around 5 hours or so, and I was kind of tired. I was stuck in a whirlpool. I could not see anything. But that was tough. It was tough. And then it was like even the navigating boat could not do anything. So the people, the boatmen, they are Koli. I don't know, but yeah, basically they are Kolis, the fishermen, and they worship the sea god basically because whole of their living is based on the sea. So what they did was, it's kind of superstitious, but this is what they believe. They offered a coconut to the sea, and I did not know anything of this happened. This is what my mom told me when I completed the swim, and we were just talking. So this is what she told me whenever when it was like the situation where we could not see anything. They offered a coconut, they offered prayings to the god, and then they kept silent for a few minutes. And then after 5-10 minutes, the weather started getting clear, and it is kind of magical or superstitious or andhavishwas kind of thing, but that's what happened. I don't know. And then in the middle of sea, what happens is you don't get the mobile network. So even if they tried to they tried to open the GPS and locate and stuff, but they could not get the exact position. They could get the starting position, but getting the exact the current position was difficult. But then I swam, and I kind of traversed the whirlpool. So the actual distance of 36 kilometers got converted into 40 kilometers somehow. But yeah, it is 36 officially. So what happened in there, nobody asks about it, nobody cares about it. But it was one of the difficult experience for me. But then once the weather got clear, once I bypassed the whirlpool, I could see tiny buildings, the skyline of Mumbai towards the end. And then I swam. I was the official one who was swimming, but then there were a few of my friends who used to jump in between few for swim for a few minutes, few hours, 1 hour, 1.5 hour. Then since I was swimming officially, I could not touch the boat, or I could not go into the boat, rest, and then again jump in. But they could do it because they were just accompanying me. So they used to switch and used to come and swim so that I did not feel alone and I did not felt bored. And then when I was close to Mumbai, my coach jumped in, and then we were swimming together. And somehow, I should not say this, but somehow, even if I swam yeah, by that time it was around 6 hours, and 6 hours from start or so. And I was swimming since 6 hours, and he was like very fresh. He did not swim earlier, and he jumped in, and even then I left him behind. My speed was pretty much good. Like it was pretty good that I left him behind. and I was swimming ahead him. So he realized that it's not gonna work out. So he later went back to the boat. It's kind of, I should not say this on video, but yeah, that was it. And then when yeah, so I neared Mumbai, and then I could see the skyline, and when I saw the Taj and the gateway, it was like, bhai sahab, this is what I was waiting for. And then swimming towards the Taj was difficult because, like, I don't know if you know it, but there are a lot of yachts, there are a lot of small boats, the ferries and stuff. So I had to navigate my way through those boats and then find the actual steps to the gateway. And yeah, I reached gateway at around 11:30, so it was 8 hours and 51 minutes. And when I spoke to my coach after that, he said, like, I trained you, I inculcated values in you, but I got the real feeling of accomplishment when I was fresh. I tried to swim with you, but I could not catch you. You were still swimming ahead and I was behind. So he said that was a kind of accomplishing feeling for him because he trained me in a way that I could go, I could swim better than him, or I could go above him. And that was like very emotional moment for him. And then at the gateway, my principal from my school, some of my friends, my relatives, they came to greet me. And as soon as I got out of water, they, put garland and stuff, and they started clapping. It was a great feeling. It was a proper celebrity feeling because I was the one who was walking ahead, and then there was a group of 10, 15 people behind me, everybody clapping and shouting and cheering me and hooting my name and stuff. And then there were random tourists who were, shooting my video and stuff. And I had that paparazzi feeling at the gateway. That was nice. And then we had the prize distribution ceremony and stuff. Yep.
It's quite
It was
a
great.
quite a experience you had.
That was
Sounds
fun.
like, yeah, adventure and achievement of a
I
lifetime. I mean,
know.
And yeah, one thing I'd like to tell is, like, this swim wasn't a competition. It was just an achievement for me. It was, we call it swimming feat. It was just a feat for me. Like, earlier, the things I told, they were competitions. You need to jump in and then rush to the shore, and you, like, yeah, basically it was a competition. But this was just an achievement. You just need to complete the swim, and that's it. Yeah.
Mm,
okay.
pretty. Okay, so the next question is, I'm sure you would need like a lot of permissions, and there were a lot of technicalities to take care of when it comes to open water swimming. So could you
Mhm.
elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, you can't just go to the sea and jump and swim wherever you want. You need to get the permissions from competent authorities. And in my case, it was Bombay Port Trust, JNPT, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, the Coast Guard, the Indian Navy, and the Mumbai Police. The things got, a bit serious, and yeah, they started checking for permissions after the 26/11 Kasab thing that happened. So yeah, I required the permissions from them, and once all the permissions were approved, I could swim. Basically, there is a lot of traffic in the area of confluence, the JNPT area, and that region near Rivers. So basically, they take into consideration the traffic. They take into consideration if there are any military exercises of Indian Navy that are supposed to be conducted and stuff. And if everything is all right, the day is good, they grant the permission to swim. And then the technicalities of it is basically the high tides and the low tides that I told about earlier. The tithi, the days, the strokes in a minute that you take, and then it is calculated and stuff. And then there is an observer from MSAAA. It is Maharashtra State Aquatic Amateur Association. So there's an official from MSAAA who is constantly in the boat, and he keeps on observing me. So he checks for the number of strokes that I take per minute. Then he checks if I touch any object or stuff. He clocks the time that I take. He notes the number of times that I pause in between to, drink water or to eat something or to have the glucose powder or something like that. And then, yeah, so he's along with me throughout my swim. And then once I reach gateway, he checks all the observations, he certifies it. And only then yeah, after that, he sends that report to the organization, to the state swimming federation, MSAAA, and then they approve it from the from the federation, and then I get a certificate saying that I have successfully completed it. And basically they check if I don't touch anything, because if I touch a boat, I'm basically disqualified. Or if I take support of any floating object or a buoy or a ring or a float, it is considered as disqualified. And no other swimmer in water who's swimming besides me can touch me. So, like, as I said earlier, I was swimming and there were a few of my friends and my coach who were swimming beside me just to boost my morale and to be with me. So they also take a look that they don't touch me, or पानी के अंदर से थोड़ा सा इसे support तो नहीं दिया and stuff. So they check for it. And those are the technicalities that are involved in this one.
Out of like curiosity, what are you supposed to like eat in between if you're allowed?
So in between, I used to drink water, Energel, glucose water and Energel, ORS. And for eating, I used to eat Snickers, pork, bananas, and yeah, pretty much chocolates, dry fruits, and banana. Yeah,
And
because banana really helps you get rid of cramps. And chocolates just because they're sugar and you get instant energy, and water for hydrating.
all of this happened in the water, like you could not come out. Obviously, you couldn't come out
Yeah. So basically, I am swimming, and whenever I am hungry, or it's like 1 hour interval. So I ate those things for 7 times in the during the swim. So the 1 hour interval is decided, but in between उससे भी ज़्यादा या फिर बीच में, if I want, I can wave my hand while swimming or pause for a while and then do the action of I want water or I want something to eat, and then they get it out of the tiffin. Or if it's banana, they'll peel it halfway, or if it's chocolate, they'll open the wrapper and give it to me. Or if it's Tetra Pak of Energel, they'll insert the straw in it and then they'll keep it ready. And then when the things on the boat are ready, they'll blow whistle so that I can stop. And then the thing is, I cannot touch the boat. I just, we call it breaststroke kick. Like we kick our legs like this to stay. And then while floating itself, we drink water or we eat and then give the wrapper, the kachra back to the boat and then again start swimming. So basically, even when I was stopping, I could not touch anything. I could not get support of any firm thing. And I just had to float by myself.
I think we are both speechless a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, the photos would have said a lot more, but yeah, no worries.
Okay, so you swimming for 9 hours is quite a long time, right? So what
Mhm.
thought crossed your mind while swimming for those 9 hours? Like some people say it is a very meditative state, or I don't know, how is it for you, those 9 hours swimming
It's
continuously?
it's a good question. First thing that was on my mind was कि ये complete तो करना ही है. No matter what happens, you just have to complete it and get out at that end of the swim. And the second thing that was going on my mind was, the songs, the music. They were, say, playing on in my mind. And like, yeah, I started from Dharamtar Jetty, and the travel time from my hometown, the place where I live, my house, to the Dharamtar Jetty was around 2 hours. So we were going there by a car, and it was 12 in the night, 11:30, 12. And the same songs that were playing in the car during the drive were playing in my mind when I was swimming. And I don't know. I was very chill. I was relaxed. I was just swimming, and those songs were playing in my mind. It's just like you are traveling somewhere, you have your earphones in, and you are listening to songs. It was just like that for me. But yeah, some of the other times, one or two thoughts about, the fishes or the boat. Or I used to think, I am to swimming, okay, but what are these people doing on the boat? Like, are they scrolling through the force? What will be the topic of the discussion on the boat? What will people say if I leave the swim in between? Or how will people, talk to me or compliment me or congratulate me when I reach the gateway of India? These were the thoughts, but mostly it was songs. And one thing that I like to mention is while swimming towards the end, there were these the oil rigs from ONGC that are the big structures that are erected in the middle of the sea that drill out oil. And I was passing from near that oil rig, and in water I could hear a constant sound that was making like kind of drilling sound that was that the oil rig was making in the sea. And I could hear that sound, and then I was swimming, and then when I took my neck out to breathe. I twisted my neck to breathe. All I could see was that oil rig, and it wasn't at this level. It was at elevated level. The angle between the water level and at the top of the apex of the rig was that was very huge. And I was wondering how these people construct these structures in middle of the sea, and it was fascinating. And I thought I gave it a thought, but I never checked it later how these people build structures.
You could you could do that now. That it makes sense. A lot of sports people on the D-Day or like on their big day, for you it was this
Mm,
day. That's what they say,
mm,
that they go in sort of like a Zen mode because they've just thought about it so many times and they've just practiced so much that it's just like a performance for them. It's not as nerve-wracking because
mm.
they already
Yeah,
know what
and
they're doing.
before the swim, I practiced twice in the sea for 4 hours, 4 hours, and in the pool for 9 hours, 9 hours for three times. So it was kind of routine. I knew my capacity, and it was just that 8 घंटे यहाँ पे कर रहा है, वैसे ही वहां जाके 8 घंटे वहां sea में करना है. It was not that difficult for me. It was okay. In the practice, it was all good. I
It
could swim easily.
sounds like a lot of swimming commendable, genuinely. I used to swim, and swimming for 8 hours was, my God, I can't.
That's tough. Like, even if I think now, yeah, like if I think now to swim for 8 hours, I'll really question myself because I'm not that much in practice right now because of 2 years of gap due to pandemic. The pools were closed. But I think कि भाई 8 घंटे में swim करना कैसे हो पाएगा? Like I hardly can swim for 500-600 meters right now, and then back then it was 36-40 kilometers. I question myself, but yeah, that's the reality.
practice and you'll get back into it.
Hopefully.
So, our next question is that open water swimming, as you have described earlier, can be very dangerous because it's obviously it's the ocean. You can't really trust it. So, what are some of the necessary safety measures that one has to observe when it comes to the sport?
Okay, so when you ask this question, I remember one incident that was kind of dangerous for me. So I'll tell that incident and then tell about the precautions. So I was practicing for my one of the open water swim, and this place named Revdanda, there was a jetty, and there was a 1.5 kilometer swim, and then there was a bridge. So what we used to do is jump from the jetty and swim up to the pillar of the bridge, touch the pillar, and then turn back. So while I was swimming, uh, like I could not see that jellyfish because of course the Indian water is the way it is and you can't see anything. But yeah, I felt this jellyfish on me, on my thigh actually, on my left thigh, and I could not see it. I could not notice whether it was a jellyfish or so, but like it touched me, it went away, and then later it started burning. I had that sensation of, of itching, of burning, of feeling something electric touched me. And as time went on, time went by, it started, getting severe. It started burning more and more, more and more, more and more. And then I completed the swim. I came back to the jetty, got out, and then I said to my coach and the fellow swim mates that I am feeling something, burning and electrifying sensation on my skin. And then my sir was like, "Oh my God, you got touched by a jellyfish." And I did not know that it was jellyfish, but then he told me from his experience that yeah, when jellyfish touches you, you get a similar feeling. So probably that was a jellyfish. So yeah, that was kind of dangerous experience because sometimes when there's a school of jellyfish coming in, it can be really dangerous. One or two jellyfish, it's you can at least tackle them or you can get rid of them. But when there's a whole school, you can't really do anything. So that's kind of dangerous. But the precautions that we take while swimming we apply grease on our body. The castrol grease that is used in automobiles, we apply it all over the body. Not we, the people around, the official applies it on all over the body so that it protects us from the organisms in the sea, the fishes and the jellyfish. That basically, like, they apply it and they apply it so much that it creates a, as a thick layer of grease on the body, so that even if they touch or even if anything pricks or even if any fish tries to eat dead skin cells from your skin, you don't actually feel it. And there's this layer of grease that can insulate you from the outside things. So yeah, applying grease on the body is one thing that we do. And then the second thing is there's always a doctor on the boat that is alongside. So if anything wrong happens or if anything goes out of hands, there's always a doctor on board. And the third boat that I told you, the one that is used for logistics, that is kind of thoda sa speed boat, fast kind of boat, which can, in case of emergency, take you to the nearest shore, nearest jetty within no time. So that is so yeah, these are the things. And of course, there's a lifeguard on the boat. So there is doctor, there's lifeguard, grease, and the speedboat. Basically, we all can, like, everybody with me could swim, but just in case we carried life jackets and a lifeguard. We had a lifeguard. So that's about the precautions.
It's pretty informative, especially about the oil and the grease thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Like
Like,
like when you apply grease on your body is completely covered with grease, your hands, your fists, your fingers, and then you can't really, adjust your goggles, because if you touch your goggles with the greasy hands, you'll all smudge your goggles, and then it will become translucent and you won't see anything. So, when I had to adjust my goggles or something, a person used to jump from the boat into the sea. I used to, lock my hands behind my back, and then I used to lean ahead so that the other person could adjust my goggle, and then I used to do like this, saying it's okay, and then I used to resume swimming. So that
My
was one
God.
thing.
It's a lot of things you
And,
have to take care
yeah,
of.
and I remember one thing. It was towards the beginning of the swim. I hardly covered 3 hours or so, and I had a cramp in my right calf. And the thing is, when you get cramp in your calf, you basically, if this is your leg, you pull the toes inward so that your calf stretches and the cramp is gone. But the thing was, since my legs and my whole body was covered in grease, I couldn't get grip of my toes to pull them. And whenever I tried to pull them, my hand used to slip off, and I could not do anything to get that cramp out. So, I had to hold my foot in some other way, like putting my thumb, and then I had to pull it behind so that my hand did not slip off. And after a while, I got rid of that cramp.
Sounds sounds like a lot of things you have to take care of. It's constantly speechless.
Yeah. Like for a third person, it seems like
Yeah.
a lot of work. Like you might have gotten used to it, but wow.
Yeah, even my brother did the same swim before, like in 2016, 2 years before what I did. So I knew the experience, I knew the route, I knew that you need to swim in the dark. So I was mentally prepared for it,
Hmm.
and I knew what all things come in way. So I was prepared for them.
So since your answers are pretty inspirational, what would you like to say to our viewers who might want to take up open water swimming?
I'll definitely encourage them to take up open water swimming, because yeah, swimming in the open sea where you can't see absolutely anything around you, you can just see the waves and you just have to swim. It kind of tests you, it prepares you mentally, it checks your patience, it checks your energy, and it tests yourself. How can you withstand yourself? How can you withstand the conditions around you? How can you withstand your mental urge of quitting? And that's something that I really like in open water swimming, which I can't get in regular pool swimming, and that interests me. And if anybody is willing to take up open water swimming, I would definitely say that you should take it up. And once you start swimming in open water, you always feel like, अब 36 हो गया, अब 40 करना है, अब 50 करना है, अब और ज्यादा करना है. So that feeling of doing something more, doing something bigger, doing something greater than what you did earlier, that is, a real feeling. So if anybody wants to take it up, I'll suggest start from pool swimming, go to shift to the swimming competitions, the open water swimming competitions, and then switch to long distance open swimming.
Yeah.
But definitely you should give it a try. That's completely different on what we are completely different from what we experience when we go to the beach. We just go to the beach, splash some water and come back, but it's completely different. The actual sea is different.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Like it seems that the person who you are right now, this might have contributed a lot
Yeah.
to why.
A lot of determination and perseverance that's required to go
Mhm.
forward with, it's
Mhm.
very, I mean, we're not lying here when we say it's very demanding to do it. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. It's all because of my coach, Havre sir, with whose training I like. One cannot, inculcate hard work, like working hard or sportsmanship or sportsman's spirit or perseverance. It comes with time. It comes with time. So basically, that's what happened with me.
Right.
Very
It
impressive.
can't be taught. It's something you have to experience by yourself.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes with a great teacher as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. You were a member of a team of swimmers in school as well as in your open water endeavors. I mean, it was solo for you, but you did have your friends along with you. So, how
Mm-hmm.
did having other swimmers with you affect your performance and motivation?
Okay, having other fellow swimmers is definitely motivating because you are not the only one who's going to swim. There are a few others who are going to swim on the same route, and swimming wala day is different. But if you consider the practice, you practice with your swim mates for months and months and months for like 3-4 hours every day for small distance swims, 3-4 hours for long distance swim, 9-10 hours. And when you practice with them, you develop a bond with them. Like during competitive swimming sessions, you do few laps, then have a rest in between, and start a gossip between the rest time, and start talking about what happened in school, start talking about which teacher punished which student in what way, start bitching about the coach, start pinning up names to the coach कि नहीं ये तो ऐसे ही करते हैं, हम बच्चे हैं, बच्चों पे तो जरा मेहरबानी करो ऐसे वैसे. And then after a few seconds it is the time for another lap or another set. So you leave that conversation there itself and then again swim for 400-500 meters, and then again start when it's the rest time, you again start talking to people and you know chill around. So you create a bond with the swim mates, you create a bond with everybody who's around there. And when on the actual day of swim, when these are the same people with whom I practiced, these are the same people who are going to swim with me, you feel motivated and you feel that I'm not the only one. These are the ones that are behind me. So even if I'm demotivated, or even if I, question myself or doubt my ability to swim, they are always behind you to back you up and provide you the moral support that you need. So it's kind of good to have everybody along in the team while you swim.
That's really heartwarming. I think, yeah, friendships make everything better.
Hmm. And yeah, since you said about friendship, my friends, my best friends are the friends that I made at the pool and not in the school. So yeah, the bonds that we create are to a next level.
The friends that swim together, stick together.
Yes.
So, another avenue that you've explored is trekking, right? Having a
Hmm.
successfully completed 2, 9, and 10 day treks. So, could you
Hmm.
elaborate on this experience?
Yeah, sure. Basically, the first Himalayan trek that I did was in 2017 with my mom. It was Valley of Flowers trek in Uttarakhand, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, in Uttarakhand. And it was a 9-10 day long trek. And in treks in Sayadris are complete different thing. They are 1-2 days treks, but the Himalayan treks are different. You go from one camp to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, and step by step you gain altitude. And finally, on the seventh, 8th day, you are at the top. You are at the summit, and then again you take 2 days to descend. So Valley of Flowers was my first Himalayan trekking experience. It was a bit difficult, but then it was difficult in the initial days because in the very first day, I think it was the second day. Yeah, in the very beginning days, I had to walk for 13 kilometers from a camp to another camp, and there was absolutely nothing in between. I had to carry my bag, my food, my water bottle, and stuff, and it was kind of tiring, and I felt a bit tired, annoyed. I really felt कि भाई क्यों आया मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं यहाँ पे. But I felt that. But after 4 5 days when I was at the summit and in the valley watching all the whole of the valley covered with different shades of flowers and a stream of river flowing besides the flower besides the plants in the valley, it was like yes I yeah like it was pehle I was questioning my presence being there, but यहाँ ऊपर आके it was like नहीं, this is what for like इसी के लिए मैं यहाँ पे आया हूँ, this is what I've come here for. And it is completely different at the beginning and at the end, and that was very good experience. I made some of best friends there. And then the second experience was 2009 in 2019. After the 10th standard examination, we get a 3 month long break and we had time. So I, along with my 10 friends, we went to Manali and we started trekking up from there, and it was Chandarkhani Pass trek. It was for 10 12 days, and the maximum altitude that we gained was 13,000 feet. Yeah. And since I had the experience of previous Valley of Flowers trek, this one was, as a how should I say? I was well acquainted with how to trek. I was well acquainted with acclimatization, and I knew how are the things up there, and I was well versed with it. And I was the one who was telling everyone, "Don't worry, it's not going to be that tough," and motivating them and convincing them, the fellow group mates and stuff. But the second trek was a good one because we were a team of 50 and I had really good friends. We used to sit in the tent at night. Like trekking part is okay, you just walk, you watch the scenery, but the real fun happens in the tent when everybody is tired and there's
Yeah.
a campfire in front of your tent and it's very chilly, it's windy, you wrap up your sweaters and shake like warm your hands and talk about life, talk about people,
Talk about
and
ghosts in the mountains.
talk about ghosts, horror stories. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
stories are, yeah.
So that is more exciting and more fun than just trekking. Of course, trekking is fun, it's exciting, but these two things go hand in hand.
So the next question is, since you have a lot of experience with long distance trekking as well, what is something
Hmm.
that we should keep in mind when it comes to, long distance treks that span over many days?
Okay, so one thing that I'll tell to keep in mind, or I personally keep in mind, is never try to estimate or never try to judge the weather up there. And I was like ठीक है, this was from Valley of Flowers track in 2019 sorry 2017. I was like it was summers and I was summers में तो बारिश नहीं होती. I'll not carry my poncho, I'll not carry my raincoat and stuff. And I was like going and all of a sudden the the weather changed, the clouds set in and started pouring very heavily, and we took a shelter under a rock and stuff. But yeah, whenever you pack for your trips, make sure you take the warm clothes, the warmers, the jackets, the rain protective wear, the ponchos and stuff. And another thing that never that you should not miss out is proper footwear. Like people just come in sandals and stuff, and like chalo chalte hai trekking karne ke liye. No, you can't trek on your sandals. You need to have proper shoes. And during the Chandarkhani Pass trek, I had proper sport shoes. And I think I like before going to the base camp, I thought they were going to be sufficient for the whole trek because they were sport shoes and they had a pretty good grip and stuff. But then as I reached the base camp, I reported, and the officials there, asked if I had proper shoes and stuff. I showed them my shoes, and he was like, "Nahi, nahi, nahi, ye nahi chalega. You'll have to buy a good pair of shoes because at 13,000 feet there was a patch of snow of
Mm.
around 200, 170, 200 meters that we were supposed to slide down snow pit, and for which he told ki uske liye you can't wear regular shoes will get completely wet in the snow, and then you'll have cold feet and hypothermia and you'll get ill. So I won't suggest you getting these shoes. I'll suggest you to get a proper the trekking shoes with thick sole and ankle support and stuff. So yeah, you need to have proper equipment while trekking. And yep, that's it. That's it.
Makes sense. I think this is something that we've also heard many times, like footwear is important and
Hmm.
weather is
Hmm.
very unpredictable. So,
And for long distance, mhm. For long distance treks, it is kind of tiring to carry a rucksack all over your back, over your back, and then trek all over the route. But it seems tough for the first 2 days. But then once you start enjoying the company of the people, you start enjoying the view, you start chilling with them. The weight on your back doesn't really matter. You just start enjoying.
sounds wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so both trekking and open water swimming are adventures
Mhm.
that you've taken up right in the heart of nature. So, what would you say is
Yeah.
the relationship between you and nature?
Okay, that's a tough question to answer. But yeah, also I was born in a town named Roha, which is, I say, not very city, kind of isolated kind of town. And we have, I have my house, then a few meters, I have the swimming pool, and there's a river and there's a hill. And on the other side, there are mountain ranges and basically nature all around. And whenever it rains, everything gets completely covered in green, and it's interesting to see in nature. And since I've been living there for 15, 16 years, I feel connected to nature. And when you visit, not actually visit is the wrong word, but when you be in nature and just sit there and enjoy the whole view or enjoy the vibe, it's completely different. It's completely different. Like, I've seen people who go on treks who are like nahi bhai, city life se dur jana hai, kahin chill karna hai. And then they go and then they put in their earphones and start trekking, which is not bad. But I completely oppose it, because if you're going to the nature, if you're going in nature, if you are going uh to some river or to some forest, what I personally feel is put off the music, stop talking, and listen to the calls of the birds, or listen to the splashing water of the river, or listen to the hoots that our monkeys are making. And when you do that, when you listen to the surrounding, pay attention to the surrounding, you actually feel connected to the nature. And that gives a complete different feeling. When you are at the top of the mountain or in the middle of the sea, one thing that I've always felt is my existence is so small. Like, the world is so big. There are mountains, there are rivers. Like, this is only one mountain that I am. standing upon right now. But then there's whole mountain ranges, there's plains, there are plateaus, there are rivers, and then I get a similar kind of feeling when I'm in the sea. Like I'm in the sea, I'm very small, I'm very tiny, and then there's a sea all around me. There are boats, there are navy warships that are crossing. When I was swimming, I could see a submarine crossing in front of me, the Indian Navy submarine. It's a kind of half submerged, and we could see the top and the periscope, wo wala jo part hota hai. I could see that. So seeing all these things, I feel like I'm so tiny in this world, and my problems, my worries are next to negligible, because when I see the expanse of this earth and expanse of nature, it really mesmerizes me, and I realize my existence. But that is something which I look forward for on every trek and every swim.
Right.
Yes.
I think that was a beautiful answer. Like, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so like, if you had to pick one water body in the world, hypothetically, for long distance swimming, which one would it be and why?
Like name it, like not just like name the water body, like maybe the Red Sea or whatever along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay, so I say just for fun, I would like to swim in the Dead Sea, because it is very saline, and I've seen the pictures. Like you don't have to do anything to float. You just jump in, and then you just come up through the buoyant force, and you just float. And I've seen that picture, people sleeping on their back and reading a book in the Dead Sea. So I actually want to try that, and I want to try swimming in there in the sea, in the Dead Sea. They say it's very saline, and since the content of salt is very high, you don't sink in. But I don't know. I don't know.
It's
That would be fun.
completely, yeah,
Hmm.
continue.
No, I was just saying that for like all his journey, he has like tried to stay afloat in water, and this will be one water body where you don't have to take efforts. It'll be like, yeah, just lie down.
Very ironic,
Yeah.
isn't it? Just
It is.
completely out of curiosity, what do you think about swimming in the Bermuda Triangle?
I don't know. I've never thought about it, but you have given me a topic to ponder upon.
Yeah,
But I think it's not difficult. It's the regular sea,
yeah.
but the instances of ships getting in sunk and invisible, and the airplanes disappearing, it happens very rarely, and like once in a blue moon kind of frequently. So I don't think that would be any problem. But then again, uh, getting the permissions from the local authorities in the US and stuff, it would be difficult. And I think they won't be very keen on granting permissions to swim in the Bermuda Triangle. But I read this article wherein this woman from USA swam from Cuba to Florida,
Mm.
and that is almost the area of Bermuda Triangle. But luckily, she completed it in 3 hours, and she did not face any problems. So I don't think कि ऐसे swim करते 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 गायब हो जाऊंगा
We do look forward to seeing you swim there sometime in the future.
in Bermuda Triangle.
So, the last question of this interview. What do
Mhm.
you see in store for yourself in the future as a sports person when it comes to either new endeavors or just continuing the sports that you've already taken up?
The first thing, like there are a couple of them, but the first one that I can think of is swimming Dharamtar two-way. So earlier I swam it one way, it was 36, and swimming it two-way will be 72, covering taking about 23 22 23 hours. and I am not sure when I'll do that, how I'll practice for that, and how I'll manage college and masters and everything and the practice. But that's one thought that came to my mind, and I want to do that, because that will, 36 तो हो गया, लेकिन उसके आगे that is next to God level kind of thing. It will test myself, it will test my way, test everything. That is one thing. Then the second is pretty common, half Ironman and Ironman, in which you have to run. Sorry, you start by swimming, you cycle, and then run. That is the second thing. And the third thing is swimming the Strait of Gibraltar and the English Channel. English Channel is difficult because the distance, if you compare the distance of the Dharamtar and the English Channel is more shorter, but the temperature is so low that it's very difficult to swim in there. You need to wear a wetsuit, and then it's difficult. It's difficult just because of the temperature. So yeah, I would love to do that, but I don't know how I'll do that. I'll think upon it. I don't want to sit idle. कुछ तो करना है, कुछ तो करना है. These are the few
There's
things
some
that I want. Yep.
there are some very ambitious dreams of yours, and I hope you do complete them. And
Mhm.
really do look forward to hearing that Mihir Kulkarni swam across the English Channel and the Strait of Gibraltar. I think it'll be a very proud moment for all of us and GIP as well.
Yeah, and another thing that I was thinking of was to swim from, Sri Lanka to Kanyakumari.
Yeah,
That is around 40-45 kilometers, which takes around 13 hours. And people have actually done it. Like it, I personally don't know them, but I read a few articles in which people swam from Sri Lanka to Kanyakumari. And that was kind of friendship bond between Sri Lanka and India, because when you swim this English Channel, it's between the European countries, the countries that are part of European Union. So it's not that difficult. But from swimming from India to swimming from Sri Lanka to India, that requires permissions from both the governments, the passport and stuff, both the militaries, and that is interesting. That is interesting. I'd
yeah,
love to do that as well.
we'll be there to cheer you on 810 Sports Edition. Definitely.
I do that again.
It was amazing talking to you, Mihir. Generally, I think both of us are really inspired by this, and we really wish you a very good luck for your future endeavors. And I hope whatever you do, you find success.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you so much for inviting me over and having this long talk of 3 meets and stuff. But it was fun to talk to you, and there are very few people who ask for experiences and ask about things. But I really liked sharing those experiences with you, and thank you for approaching me and having me on the 8th. Thank you so much.
We really enjoyed listening. So,
It was a great interview, yeah.
yeah.